Hey, end my life. What's up? It's the Culture Detective here investigating your favorite albums. And today I'm back to do an album review, the second album review of the day. I also just finished writing 2 pages of an essay for my English class. So, I've been pretty productive today. Another day, another Cantonese album. This time I will be reviewing Dear Jane's 101, or Yat Leng Yat. Dear Jane is a rock band formed in Hong Kong since 2003, and they have been at it, and 101 is an album released in 2016. And I have already reviewed 2 Cantopop albums, and the first one is extremely boring, and the second album that I've reviewed are a little more experimental and artistic, surprisingly, but still isn't good. Isn't that good, anyways. And then I started reviewing a Cantorock album. Last time I reviewed Supper Moment, which is why it's so boring. Why? It's so generic. Every single song sounds the same. The vocals and the melodies are so flat. Why? So I continued to venture onto my path of trying to find one good Cantonese album. And I've arrived at this one. And I still haven't found the thing that I've been looking for. Because this album is still pretty goddamn boring. The album starts off with 咖啡因眼淚 or Caffeine Tears. And it's actually not bad. Yes, a bulk of this album is boring, but I'll say this: the first 3 tracks, they're not that boring. They actually rock. They're actually rock music. So the first track, Caffeine Tears, has this really stupid, dumb, glitchy little intro, which is stupid, yeah, but I don't mind because the core of the track is actually not bad. We get a raging, passionate guitar riff that ascends to the sky. The choruses and the verses are pretty meh, but structurally, this track still manages to hold itself together as one tight rock song. Anyways, screw it. Of course, every time I start filming myself, someone has to throw a friggin' party outside of my bedroom. Anyways, the second track is 羽毛轮起, which is actually a pun because literally it means feathers and scales. 羽毛 being feathers and 轮起 means scales, but it's actually a pun because it sounds exactly the same as the idiom, which means nonsensical words or words that are just not illogical words. Well, you're speaking nonsense. You're speaking heresy. And this track is pretty special in that there is something about this track that I usually often don't hear in a song from Hong Kong, and that is these very metal chugging guitar riffs. There aren't that many metal bands in Hong Kong. If there are, they would be immediately banned because Hong Kong is pretty artistically conservative, and every time there is a band doing some weird experimental stuff, everybody's gonna be like, oh my god, you're a devil worshipper. Bad. But we got some chugging metal guitar riffs on this track, which, I mean, they don't go that hard, but at least that's still something. However, melodically and vocally, this track is just flat as a cutting board. And we have lyrics about losing creativity, like, oh my god, I'm so old now, I wish I was a kid, because when I was a kid, I would be more creative. It's a good lyrical topic, but it wasn't really conveyed at all emotionally. Afterwards, the third track is 700萬種樂與怒, which means 7 million kinds of joy and anger, or happiness and anger. I don't know why the English translation for this title is This is Rock and Roll. They just gave up. They just gave up trying to translate it. So I'll translate it for you, okay? 7 million kinds of joy and anger, or joy and rage, this track is where the band sort of does a Linkin Park impression. I don't know if Linkin Park is an actual influence for them or not, but this track pretty much sounds like a Linkin Park song with a very uppity and dramatic verses and choruses, and also these guitars that sort of has a almost a glitchy aesthetic to them. That being said, it's not that great of a track. It doesn't wow me at all, but at this point, I'll take anything. And then afterwards, Behold, 5 extremely boring tracks back to back to back to back to back. Originally, when I first heard the first 3 songs, I was like, oh my god, like, oh, finally a band that goes hard. Psych, that's only the front. The rest of the album are all freaking boring. And it's not like I hate slow, quiet songs. Some of them are actually fantastic, but none of the chord progressions are compelling, none of the vocals are good, none of the melodies are memorable lyrically, none of them stand out or anything. It's just so generic and cliche, and it wants to make me scratch my skin. First off, we have 哪裏只得我共你, where there's only you and me. But the English translation, the official English translation is you and me. They just gave up. And it's this sappy, sloppy love song, little guitar ballad thing, again with a chord progression that you would expect from a song from Hong Kong. And then afterwards we have 只知感覺失了蹤, which means only knowing that my feelings are lost. And the official translation is lost, like the TV show, Lost, L-O-S-T. And it's this quiet, tiny little finger-picked guitar song. The chord progression is so bland and so trite, it's actually disappointing. Then we have 經過一些秋與冬. It rhymes with the track title of the previous track, which means after some falls and winters. But the official translation is days gone by. They just gave up trying, man. And this track is even spacier and even slower, and lyrically it's actually pretty interesting because the vocalist talks about how, man, I'm so sorry I was being an asshole to you the whole time during the relationship. Man, I'm so sorry I did this and I shouldn't have done this, I shouldn't have done that, yada yada, blah blah blah. And lyrically it's one of the more interesting topics on this album anyways, but it's still just not justified with the very boring and slow and just generic instrumentation of this thing. And then we have the track One Last Time, 最後一次, which doesn't sound like one last time at all. Again, generic guitars, introduction that sets the stage, and we have lyrics about missing someone. Oh, I miss you so much, your smile in the photo, oh, so sweet, oh, I miss your eyes, they glow in the night, blah blah blah, bullshit. Yeah, it's pretty garbage. And then we have the track Voyage, or Yun Zeng, and the official translation is Long Road. Are you fucking kidding me? Anyways, Voyage, it has these soft, spacey guitars, again, a very slow, quiet performance. We have lyrics about trying to find a goal, finding a goal. Why is finding a goal so hard? Why does it take so long to find a goal? I don't know, ask yourself. But yeah, the verses and the choruses are really repetitive, they're really lame and boring. And to end the album off, they put out 2 cover songs where they covered 2 songs. The first one is 長子, or Wallpaper, which is originally sung by a very popular female artist, Joey Young. Joey Young. I keep mixing them up. Young Joey. And actually, it's not a bad cover song at all. Of course, Joey Young is not like a rock artist at all. She's just a quiet little pop ballad person. But they sort of add a lot of rock aesthetics to this track, with the dense guitar layers, which actually kind of work. They're dreamy, they're passionate, and the vocal performance on this track is easily the strongest in the entire friggin' album, on a cover song, of course. And they end off the album with 愛後餘生, which is a track originally from 謝霆鋒. and it means life after love. And this track is catchier than other tracks, tighter structurally as well, but it's not really Dear Jane's success, I guess, because it's only a cover song, and the guitars and the chorus of this track, the way they just stop every second is kind of annoying, and overall the track is still meh, even though it's already slightly better than a majority of the tracks on this album. So yeah, overall, pretty friggin' disappointing. Another Cantorock album that seemed to have something going, but then totally falling flat because they have to follow these really dumb cliches that are so generic and so boring and so overused. Again, with the sad finger-picked guitars, the melodramatic performance. It's a love song. I get it. Every single song has to follow this stupid formula, and it's so boring. Like, come up with something new, come up with something original. Maybe they have jinxed themselves really, because on the second track they're like, oh my god, we're losing our creativity. Maybe you guys are losing your creativity. I don't know. So yeah, my favorite track here is probably the Linkin Park impression track, 7 Million Kinds of Joy and Rage, or actually the album opener is pretty sweet. I'll go for the album opener, Caffeine Tears, and my least favorite. My least favorite is I don't know. Probably One Last Time. I am giving Dear Jane's 101 strong 5 out of 10. So, have you listened to the latest Dear Jane, not the latest actually, this Dear Jane album, 101 from 1 to 10, I'm just rate it, like it, and subscribe if you want more, and thanks for watching. I will also review one album from Taiwan and another album from Singapore very soon, within the month, and then I'll review Kid Cudi and Taylor Swift, so that's pretty exciting. So, yeah, stay tuned for that.